Good afternoon, my name is Paul Sanderson. In this short video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create two reports on the Skype database. The first is the contacts report on the contacts table, and the second is the messages report on the messages table. These reports simulate the reports you would see if you are familiar with my Skypealizer program. So the first thing to do is create a case file. We're going to call this a Skype article and choose save, and then we're immediately prompted for the name of the database we want to open. This is pre-populated in my case, and we're going to open the anonymized iPhone main DB. We get prompted as to whether we want to create a working copy of the database and recover deleted records from it. In this case, I'm not going to do that, as I just want to keep things nice and simple, so we choose OK. And we see immediately a list of the tables from the database, and along the bottom a progress bar runs along as all the different grids are created that we will use in our subsequent reports. So in this first example, I'm going to create or recreate the contacts report from Skypealizer. Here's a quick HTML report created by Skypealizer, and we can see that there's various information, including the Skype name and Skype display name, amongst other things, for each user. So how do we recreate that? Well, unsurprisingly, the contacts report is created from the contacts table within Skype, and to create a report on that is simplicity itself. We drag the contacts table over to our Visual Query Designer in the center, and then all we do is click on each item from the table that we want. So I've clicked on the Skype name, and we can see the SQL is starting to be created here. We can choose the full name, and we see the SQL updated again. Continue through, we'll have the gender, we'll have the avatar image, and we'll include the profile timestamp. So just a few fields to give us an idea. So what do we do now? Well, we've chosen the avatar image, and I know from experience that the avatar image is a blob. It actually says it's a blob here, and this blob is stored in is a JPEG, or contains a JPEG for each user that has an avatar image. So what we've got an option down here is display all blobs as images. If we choose that and then run our report, rather than displaying a blob as hex, it will display it as a JPEG within the report. And we can see we have the a nicely formatted report already. One thing that's not quite as we'd like is the profile timestamp, and we see we've got here a number which most will recognize as a Unix date. We can convert any date within the table by right-clicking on the column and choosing View As, and we get lots of different options here. The first one up here is a Unix 10-digit timestamp, so we choose OK. The report is recreated, and we can see it's all nicely formatted. One other field to look at here, we have a gender, so it's male or female. If we click on the little filter icon in the column, we can see all of the values that are in this column. We can see there are some blank values, some non-blanks, which and the other two values that appear here are 1 and 2. These are obviously codes for something. If I just drag this up a little bit, and we can see what I've done now is filtered on just those rows that have either a 1 or 2 in them, and we can see that most of them are 1s, and the 2s appear next just to the ladies in the report. So 1 represents a male and 2 a female, and if we go back to displaying all, a blank is where it has not been assigned. Some people don't say what their gender is. So we can right click on that and choose View Column As, and we're now going to use an alias, and what we need to do is right click here, add alias item, and we know that value 1 is male, and add a second one, value 2 is female, and choose OK, and when we choose OK again here, and we scroll down through our genders, we can see males and females rather than 1 and 0. And that is the basis of our report. If we click on Create Report now, choose which a file to save the report as, a HTML file name. And now if we open our saved HTML report, we can see that the report is, as we've just created it, with our genders saved as male, and our avatars displayed correctly along with our formatted dates. Finally, for this report, the contacts report, we need to save it. Now we've created it, we've got the formatting we want, we've got the columns we want in it, we save it. So we can save the current query to the query manager. I'm going to create a new query group. I'm going to call it Skype reports, and I'm going to give this a name as contacts. Choose OK. That report is now saved. I can now go into the query manager. These are all the different report groups I've saved before. This is a new one, Skype reports, and I can just double click on that, and that runs that new report. So now I'm going to create a report on the messages table, to simulate the messages table from the Skypealyzer report. And we can see a quick example of the messages table here. And we can see there's the author display name, participants, the type of message, and we're going to reproduce that now. So again, not surprisingly, the messages are held in the messages table, so we drag that across to the visual designer, and we're going to choose the author of the message. We're going to choose the dialogue partner, i.e. the other person who's in the message. Obviously, it's my Skype account, so I'm assumed. We're going to have the timestamp. Okay, well, the timestamp's now come up in the third column. If we just quickly run that report, we'll see that's there. I'd rather have that at the beginning, so we can now customize our report by dragging that back up to the top. Now when we run it, we can see it's in the right place. We'll convert the date as well. We view column as, we know it's a Unix timestamp, and then we have that nicely formatted. We're also going to choose the type of the message. We'll come back to that in a second. And the last thing that we're going to put in, just for the sake of this report, is the body XML, which is the content of the message itself. And I'm going to run that query, and we can see the report in. If I scroll down, we can see lots of different messages. Now we can see this type field. If I click on the filter, we can see there's lots of different types in there. Now I've already gone through and worked out what most of those mean, so we can apply a conversion to it. And as again, we right click on the column, choose view column as, and again we're going to use aliases, but this time I'm going to select an alias group that I've previously saved, nicely formatted into different applications, and I've got one alias in my Skype application, and we can see the different values there. If I click on that, so choose OK, and we can see that they've appeared down here, and then we choose OK to apply it. And as we now scroll down, for those that I know what they are, we can see that the information has been nicely added for us. So lovely. And again, we can hit create report, and that information will be saved to a HTML report, or in fact we could go into our report and save it as CSV, as XLS, or our own built-in report designer.